Imagine not being able to read the paper because your hands were shaking. Imagine not being able to read newsprint as your world faded to black. The National Federation of the Blind, Newsline, Indiana. With your host, Lee Martin, and co-host, Florence Myers-McSwine.
We want to welcome you to the National Federation of the Blind Newsline show. It's been a wonderful month this month as spring is coming, and we're going to spring right into a great show today. And we have very special guests today here from the Indiana Civil Rights Commission. And first of all, as you know, we want to introduce you to the service that we have with the National Federation of the Blind, one of our many programs, and it's the National Federation of the Blind Newsline. Newsline is an audio information service that allows people with print challenges the opportunity to read newspapers, magazines, TV guide listings, job listings, weather alerts, things that are very important to people that have those challenges of reading print or accessing print. The National Federation of the Blind has provided a great service. We have over 500 different publications that individuals can access for free. And Florence Myers-McSwine, my co-host here, will tell you about some of the magazines that we have.
Okay, I can certainly do that. And again, welcome to our show. And I'm going to start off with just the AARP because for some reason that's the one that kind of stays in my mind this morning. But for the seniors, and then there's Stone Soup for children. There's also various other magazines for every lifestyle, as I always tell you. If you like exercising, there's Shape Magazine. There's also WebMD. There's magazines for people that are diabetics, Diabetic Forecasts, and best recipes for people who like to cook. So there is a variety of magazines for everyone.
And if you pay attention to our commercials as we go to break, you'll learn more about our service and where to access the information to obtain the NFB Newsline. You do need a subscription, and once again, it is a free service. So we'll be seeing you in a few minutes with our guests from the Indiana Civil Rights Commission.
If you or someone you know is visually impaired or print challenged, the National Federation of the Blind has a resource you need.
I am a CFP practitioner, and I happen to be blind. I rely on NFB Newsline to keep me current with Wall Street Journal and the Financial Times.
Hoosiers can hear Indiana magazines, circulars, national magazines, and information from across the globe. Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
We are the nation's blind, and we read NFB Newsline.
As I travel the nation, I read NFB Newsline.
I live in Valparaiso, Indiana, and I listen to my local news on NFB Newsline.
As a student, I enjoy reading current events on NFB Newsline.
Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
Subscribe free to NFB Newsline today.
Welcome back to the National Federation of the Blind Newsline, Indiana. And we have some very special guests here today from the Civil Rights Commission. We have Miss Lisa Welch and Mr. Greg Wilson. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, we certainly appreciate having you guys on our show today. It's a very special day for us because it is our second year, the date of our anniversary, so to speak, for our second year on the show here at HMB.
That's wonderful. Congratulations.
Definitely congratulations, and I just like the fact that we're here on your anniversary.
Well,
that makes it even more special.
Well, I tell you what, really what makes it special is that you are here and the service that you render for not only citizens of Indiana, but citizens around the country. And I just want to let you know that we certainly appreciate all the hard work that you and your team does here in Indiana with the Indiana Civil Rights Commission.
Well, I'm very fortunate. I mean, I look on it as I'm the one who is very blessed to be able to do a job like this and to have such a great team that I work with. I mean, who could ask for anything more to be able to serve? Because for me, it's all about service. It's all about giving back. That's what's important to me.
Now, what is your position with the Indiana Civil Rights Commission, Greg?
Well, I'm the executive director for Indiana Civil Rights Commission, plus I'm over some more commissions there. I'm over the Social Status of Black Males Commission. I'm over the Indiana Commission of Hispanic Latino Affairs. I'm over the Native American Commission and the Women's Commission, as well as the Martin Luther King Holocaust Commission.
Diversity.
Yeah, and then also, last one, I know you said, is that not enough? But I'm also the chair of the Governor's Minority and Women Business Commission for the state of Indiana. So those are the hats that I wear.
Wow. Yeah. So I am impressed with all of that. How do you keep up with yourself?
Well, I mean, I'm also the chair of Indiana Black Expo, and I'm on the Indiana Latino Expo board as well as the Visit Indy. So I have a full plate.
Very busy man.
I'm a very thankful man because I want to be somewhere where I can make a difference.
Yeah, and there's a lot of places to make a difference there.
Well, you know, it's just like both of you, you know, when you have an opportunity to give back and to serve, and you know what people go through, you want to make that difference. I mean, I always teach my kids when they were growing up, I always say, dare to be different, dare to make a difference. I said, it's easy to be somebody who goes along to get along, but let's go ahead and make a difference, and let's not just get focused on that. And so I'm very fortunate, again, to have this opportunity.
Ubiquitous.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, it's your T-shirt with ubiquity on the back.
I like that. Don't give me any ideas.
Okay, and Lisa, what's your position with the Indiana Civil Rights Commission?
I'm a relatively new addition to the commission. I serve as Deputy Director of External Affairs. So I handle all internal and external communications, both for the Civil Rights Commission and for all the cultural commissions that Greg had mentioned earlier. So basically, my job is to help tell our story, help educate Hoosiers on the services that we provide and their resources, should they feel like they experience discrimination, and also just an understanding of their rights here in the state of Indiana.
Yeah, we're going to get into that here a little bit.
Yep.
And I also want to, I know a lot of people, like I said earlier, that there's a lot of individuals that I know we like mentoring. And with this first segment, we want to talk a little bit about, you know, like Greg, how did you get involved with the, you know, civil rights? I mean, as a young person, how did you get in this direction?
Well, again, I'm a product of a single mother, and I always tell people single mothers can raise great children, and I'm thankful for that. And she taught me that it was important to give back. It was important to make a difference. She was a strong influence. And so after going to the military, when I got out, I went to work for a company, and I was fortunate to have a mentor, a strong mentor, who got me involved in minority and women business, and the fact that some people were being discriminated against with business opportunities. That's kind of the connection, how I kind of worked my way through this whole direction, is because it was all about people being treated unfairly. I mean, I already know my civil rights history, and I know about discrimination. But the fact that I saw with economic development, the fact that so many businesses couldn't get these opportunities because, again, is they weren't connected, they weren't the right color, and so that had impact on me. And so when Mayor Ballard ran, he hired me as a Minority Women Business Director for the City of Indianapolis, and we were able to do some great things. We had created a lot of opportunities, and then I went to work for the governor, who the fact that he kind of knew my background of being community-minded, being trusted by a lot of folks in the community, he gave me this opportunity. And again, I was hesitant at first to take this opportunity because I didn't want to let people down. I wanted to make sure that I was the right person to do the job, because this is an important job. This is nothing I should take for granted. So it took me a minute. They kind of teased me, like I took a little bit longer, because I said, listen, Greg, is this something you can do to make a difference? Are you going to be the right person? And I'll just say I thank God that I have that opportunity, and I'm here. And then I've been fortunate enough to get people like Lisa and Denise Posey and so many others on our team that believe in this mission. It's about believing in the mission. If you don't believe in it, there's no use in doing it. I come to work every day excited. I wake up and can't wait to get to work. I mean, you know, everybody don't. And I tell young people out there, it's okay to give back. It's okay not to put yourself up front. It's okay not to be up front. Just be the difference maker. Mm-hmm. And it's all about finding a good mentor. You get a good mentor, somebody who can help guide you, which I've been very fortunate to have that good mentor who told me all the do's and don'ts and how to stay focused and how to be cautious and careful and how to listen to others. That's what's important.
And you were raised in the Indianapolis area?
Yes, oh yeah. Lived in Indianapolis. I've traveled around the country working for a global company, but Indianapolis has always been the place I wanted to come back to and call home. I think it's a great city, and I still live in the neighborhood. I didn't move out. I stayed there because I thought it was important for those in neighborhoods to see African-American men.
That's right.
That get up and go to work every day, that take care of their yards, that talks to them, can mentor them. So, you know, I'm very fortunate. And sometimes I'll come home and young men have put notes in my mailbox and Mr. Wilson, I need to talk to you, because I watched them grow up. Some have went in good directions, some haven't, but you know, I want to make sure I'm there if they want to talk, and you know, so I'm just very fortunate. If that makes any sense.
Well, the community is very fortunate to have you, and one thing I want to make sure that we mention one of your colleagues, Melissa Deering.
Yes.
Don't want to leave her out of the mix.
Of course.
So, but we're going to take a short pause, and we'll be right back to hear more from Lisa and Greg with the Indiana Civil Rights Commission. Stay tuned.
With my failing eyesight, I'm not able to read regular newspapers, and I'm not able to keep up with obituaries.
I've been a homemaker all of my life, but since my vision has failed, I wish I could read my favorite magazines.
Have you heard of the NFB Newsline?
Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
Subscribe free to NFB Newsline today.
If you or someone you know is visually impaired or print challenged, the National Federation of the Blind has a resource you need.
I use NFB Newsline when reading Hammond Northwest Times.
Using NFB Newsline, I read the Christian Science magazine.
Dad, you read Jerusalem Post too.
Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
Live the life you want. Read NFB Newsline.
It's free.
We want to welcome you back to the National Federation of the Blind Newsline Indiana show with our guests from the Indiana Civil Rights Commission, and Mr. Greg and Miss Lisa. So
So, Lisa, I'm just going to jump right on in here and tell me a little bit about you and your journey to the Civil Rights Commission.
Sure. Well, unlike Greg, I haven't spent the bulk of my career involved in the civil rights movement or the community and things like that. I took a somewhat more winding road to get there. I come from the world of science communication. So in my career, I would tell the stories of healthcare research findings and getting those into clinical practice and understanding issues locally, globally, in healthcare, access to care. So the way that sort of segued into my current role is one of the most interesting and heartbreaking things I learned about in my career as a healthcare and research communicator were the studies coming out on disparities. Disparities in access to care, disparities in quality of healthcare due to things like gender, race, disability, age. And in my old role there, that was very troubling to me. So this just seemed like a natural segue in order to further use my skills as a communicator to chip away at those disparities. Because, once you really understand sort of at a cellular level what it means to try to live your life with obstacles and missed opportunities that other people don't have simply because you are a member of a certain class, a certain race, you have a disability. It's just heartbreaking. And the only real reasonable reaction to that, I think, is to use your skills, your time, your talent to try to change that. So that's why I'm here.
Oftentimes when people think about the civil rights of individuals, they basically relate it back to race, wouldn't you say? Is that great?
More often than not.
More often than not.
I think so. But yeah, you're right to bring that up because civil rights and instances of discrimination can happen in so many other areas for so many other different reasons. And civil rights are for everyone. We all deserve protection. We all deserve equality of opportunity. And at the Civil Rights Commission, that's our daily mission. That's what gets us out of the bed in the morning. But it's for everyone.
One of the things you said is, even when you talk to people about civil rights, they think that it's only for the commission, it's only for African Americans. A lot of times they don't know all the services that Indiana Civil Rights Commission provides, the protections, the anti-discrimination. And so that's one of the things we're really focused on is educating people about what we do.
And that is so important. It is so important because a lot of times when a lot of people look at what we say Civil Rights Commission, they're wondering, okay, how can they help me? Or are they there for me? What can they do for me? As people don't understand because they have that misconception of what agencies are actually for or what they do. We'd like to hear a lot more about what you do at the Civil Rights Commission. Sure. And, exactly, I want to ask the question, just for those who might be wondering, what exactly would you consider to be discrimination? And either one of them.
Okay, yeah, sure. I'd be happy to talk more about that. Discrimination is any unfair treatment based on those categories that we've been talking about. Yes, again, race, sex, age, disability, but also things like familial and veteran status, things that people don't often think about, religion. So any unfair treatment that is experienced based on membership in those categories, which we call our protected classes, those are the kinds of complaints that we investigate and process, and they are prohibited by the civil rights laws in the state of Indiana. A little bit more about what the commission focuses on as far as our jurisdiction. We look at everyone who may have experienced discrimination because of their protected class within areas of enforcement. So we've already talked about things like housing and employment, I think, but other areas of enforcement are also in credit education, and public accommodation, which is going to any public place and being able to expect the same services and amenities as anyone else, regardless of your membership in a protected class. So those are the kinds of things that we have enforcement authority over.
Now, by this particular month of March being Disability Awareness Month,
yes,
I want to ask a question about persons with disabilities and some of the, problems that you see or that you guys that run across your desk for facing persons with disabilities, and when it comes to houses and housing resources and things of that nature.
Well, again, as we were talking offline, I was telling you that we get the most complaints based on people with disability being discriminated against. One is whether it's housing, a reasonable accommodation. It could be can't get the wheelchair in the door. It can be the way the apartment's set up. It can be in the public places. Is there a way for them to get into it if they're in a wheelchair, or do the doors open? I mean, there's so many different things that go on, and when people ask for the reasonable accommodation, even on the job, I mean, it's just things that would help. Once they ask and try to work through that process, and then when they feel like there's no help for them, then they come to us, or we want them to come to us if they feel like they've been discriminated against. But one of the challenges is a lot of times people feel like, well, there's nobody can help me, and I don't want to cause a problem. I don't want to make it harder than what it is for me.
Yeah.
It's already a challenge, and so if I say something, then how am I going to be impacted on my job?
They're wondering about retaliation, perhaps.
Of course.
Correct.
So-
And that is also the basis for another complaint that you could file with the Indiana Civil Rights Commission. I'm really glad that we talked about retaliation, because a lot of people don't realize that if they file a complaint of discrimination with the commission and they are subject to further negative consequences as a result of filing that complaint, they can file another complaint for retaliation, which is a completely separate investigation. So Hoosiers are protected from retaliation if they engage with our agency.
Now, does it cost to file a complaint?
No, it's free. Our services are free. And then even we have lawyers, we have mediators there. So say that you filed a complaint, we always try to look and see if there's any way to mediate the complaint, to see if we can find a way of working through it. And then we also have lawyers who look and take on those cases as well.
Okay. So we're going to pause and come back and conclude this segment of the show before we start our next segment, because you guys will be back next week and we'll talk more about some of these issues that are very important to Indiana citizens and your purpose of the Indiana Civil Rights Commission. So we'll be right back, so stay tuned.
The National Federation of the Blind knows that blindness is not the characteristic that defines you or your future. Every day we raise the expectations of blind people because low expectations create obstacles between blind people and our dreams. You can live the life you want. Blindness is not what holds you back.
I'm Danny Wayne Beamer, Program Manager of the Elder Blind Program at the Will Center in Terre Haute, Indiana. I introduce the NFB Newsline to seniors in 13 southwestern counties in Indiana. I also utilize the NFB Newsline for my radio station public affairs shows. The NFB Newsline. Experience it today.
Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
We are the nation's blind, and we read NFB Newsline.
If you or someone you know is visually impaired or print challenged, the National Federation of the Blind has a resource you need.
Wow, I scored a touchdown when I found sports on NFB Newsline.
I enjoy reading TV guide listings on NFB Newsline.
Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
We are the nation's blind. We read NFB Newsline.
It's free.
Welcome back to the National Federation of the Blind Newsline and a conclusion of today's show. And we want to thank our guests for coming, Ms. Lisa Welch and Mr. Greg Wilson from the Civil Rights Commission.
Thank you so
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, and we learned so much in this short segment, and we want everyone to stay tuned and pay attention for the second segment, which will be coming out a week after next, with more information from Greg and Lisa from the Indiana Civil Rights Commission. So I just want to conclude this one by saying thanks once again, and we'll look forward to our next segment.
Thank you so much for having us on this show, your second anniversary.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. And we just want to leave you with a little thought from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., is that darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light. And hate cannot drive out hate, only love. So just remember that as you go throughout your day and throughout your week and throughout your life, and be compassionate to others. Stay tuned for our show next week. Thank you very much.
The National Federation of the Blind, Newsline, Indiana. For more information, go to nfb-in.org or call 855-963-6476. That's 855-963-6476. The National Federation of the Blind encourages you to live the life you want.